Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Grand Tactician, the Civil War, our Let's Play series of Grand Tactician's newest DLC, Whiskey and Lemons. We are playing as the Union in this game. Our character, because this is a role-playing style strategy game, is called Matthew McCormick. We're a Brigadier General in command of a division, which we have renamed the Butcher Division. And we are located south of Fredericksburg right now, just north of Richmond, at the confluence of, I don't know what every one of these rivers are, but it's sort of the last river line before Richmond, on the north side. Meanwhile, it looks like the rebels are converging on a division to our rear, the 4th Division, which is kind of important for our supply lines, and then our own division here to the south is also being converged on by multiple rebel divisions. It is March of 1863. Union morale is pretty good if we look at the war. The morale of the Union armies is slightly better than the Confederates at 48 to 45. The national support much better on the Union side, 71 to 32, and the national morale is much better at 68 to 51. To break Confederate morale, we have to get their national morale below 25. We're still a ways away from that. We have previously captured Richmond, but then lost it, and our morale is above 50. So if you look at like objectives here, I don't know, like West Virginia seems like it's controlled by us. The Shenandoah Valley has been yes and no. I'm not sure what we haven't invaded North Carolina. We haven't invaded Norfolk, but those are the situations here. We do command a unit on the map. Previously, we sort of had to go where our AI commander went, but because we're a division commander now, we actually have our own little chit on the map. Although cores have been unlocked for the Union, so I'd probably reorganize if I was the AI, but the AI in this game isn't great at reorganizing forces. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump in. I think we're about to fight a battle. These forces are converging on us. 1.5 casualties inflicted. Rearguard action. Did it just simulate? Oh no, it's a siege. All right, so let's pause or slow down. Did we just... Seems like a whole bunch of Did they retreat instantly? Well, at least one of their divisions appears to have retreated. Looks like we're winning this siege. Polk's division decided it didn't want to fight, and so all that's left is Pillow's division. I guess that's what happens when you save the game with a battle prompt. Because at the end of our last video, we had a prompt saying like, fight this battle, but I didn't have time to fight it, and so I saved it and it reinitiated the battle, but I guess one of the rebel divisions got routed, so whatever. In any event, we're going to assault the remaining rebel division. We now went from a battle that would have been pretty even and interesting, I think, to fight, to a battle where we outnumber them by 2 to 1, which perhaps will be less interesting. But we'll see. I've certainly messed up battles before, and I'm glad to inflict considerable casualties on a division to our front. Also, we'll need to take a look at the 4th Division, because I'm inclined to send my division back north to Fredericksburg to help if it turns into a siege and we think we can get there before it's all over. I know that's sort of the wrong direction in the sense that we want to take Richmond, but we got to keep that supply line open, so I'm sure the AI division won't respond in that way. So I will, if we need to. Okay, and I'm sorry guys, I know the videos have been pretty inconsistent lately. I know view counts have suffered because of that, but been going through some stuff in our life, so that's played a role. Is our division not on the field? We and I mentioned this, I think, I mentioned this, and the support has been overwhelming, but I mentioned it in a post on my YouTube like community section, but basically we lost our 13-year-old gold, and then between that and some other stuff going on, we've been dealing with some stuff, and so we've been I haven't had as much time for playing lately, but hopefully that will change soon. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like my troops are on the field yet. Are they coming? Union. Pillows to, well, that's not Union, that's Confederate. Pillow is definitely Confederate. There we go, Butcher Division. When's it going to arrive? Looks like we should be on the map. All right, let's just get going then, see what the AI does. Oh, are we up here on the left? I'm very confused. So some of these troops are in my division. It's just like I'm personally not on the field yet. So that's strange. But our objective is down here, so let's go get marching, boys. Also, I've got cavalry. I've got a cavalry brigade of 2 regiments. So that's cool. The other AI division is over here marching, so they've got a little bit of a head start on us. The Rebs are down here near Stonebrook. Intel has the rebels having 8,000 men. Sort of what the pre-battle phase said they would have. I just selected an individual regiment, not a brigade. All right, move them. Here I am. All right, boys, just get the whole division going. Let's accelerate things. My cavalry, I don't think is in the van, or maybe they are. They are. Why is this one regiment just hanging back? Pause. Oh, they were not. That's just a marker on the map. All right, so our cavalry's coming down this road to the right. It looks like we've got some troops coming across the country, which I don't know that I'd recommend unless you want to really get tired. But looks like that's what they're doing. Marching up and down the hills and through the forests. Over the hill and through the woods. To the rebel defenses we go. All right, the other division here is across the river near Wheelworks. They're coming down. Let's assume the Rebs are still here. Hopefully they haven't retreated. Okay, so that's the end of the day. All right, so I think we can just can we redeploy my troops just automatically, or do they keep their marching order? That is not me. This is very strange. Why is it? The go to me button isn't selecting me, which is, I guess, not what I'm used to. All right, so we're moving up here. Can we move the whole force? No, we can't. I don't get it. In the army game, you can actually choose to redeploy troops overnight, but apparently not here. All right, we'll deploy on the rebel flank. The other AI units are coming up that road still. Rebs appear to be in some entrenchments here. They've got a couple of brigades opposite a creek here in skirmish formation. I thought I saw some dug-in troops, at least initially, on this roadway. Yeah, it looks like these guys are behind breastworks, some artillery and some infantry. So that may be enough to delay a force that's probably about the same size as them while we come up on their flank and deploy in this this forest here. Oh, the rebels are moving to engage? Why are they moving toward them? Federal troops are deploying in line. What is this rebel cavalry unit doing? And this artillery battery, they're like going straight at them. What are they doing? That seems foolish. Just rushing to deploy an open field. Stone's brigade, or not Stone's brigade. Stone's division has about 6,400 men. So they, in theory, if the Rebs could bring all of their forces to bear on them, they would outnumber them. Actually, interestingly, it looks like the Rebs have a considerable portion of their force in this wood line on a reverse slope. So we are not going to deploy quite as I had assumed. We're going to deploy the 1st Brigade up here in this wood line. Second Brigade on their flank. And the 3rd Brigade, I guess, in reserve. So the Rebs are engaging a brigade which they could outnumber, but with only half their force. So I don't think that open field fight's going to go well for them, although maybe they'll isolate like a lone regiment. I assume the logic is hit them in the front while they're coming up before they can deploy. It's kind of a mess of a deployment, like race forward, fire volley, withdraw. I can't imagine that's going well for them. Well, we've lost 3 times their casualties so far. That's a big so far. Mostly all in just the 11th New York here. So they are trying to hit them in the nose as they come up the road, but Federals are deploying troops on the flank. They've got a regiment of cavalry and infantry coming across this creek as they try and push back the center here. And the other Federal troops have not yet really come into action. There's a couple of batteries of artillery, which are probably a problem. But a very aggressive move by the Rebs. Meanwhile, our own cavalry's come up kind of in the rear of the enemy here. We've got the Smith carbine, which I think is decent, but I don't want to deploy my cavalry here fully until we're more and they've also got a sort of a reserve line of 2 regiments behind some earthworks back here, which may help form a retreat line in the event that the Rebs get pushed back, which I think they will. This is just a mess of troops here. Although they did push back the 11th New York. Fair chance the 9th New York State militia gets pushed back. The 2nd Iowa Cavalry charged and got routed. Wow, 260 casualties. So they are taking casualties as well. Fewer than they're inflicting though at the moment. They've kind of got the 9th New York State in a bit of a quandary. So they badly mauled the 11th New York. They badly routed the 2nd Iowa. They're trying to gang up on the 9th New York State. And that's a considerable punch taken out of that lead division. I'm not too worried about it. We're playing on ×2 because, as I understand it, morale checks get wonky on ×5, which means we've really got to wait for our boys to come up and get deployed. Again, we've got our cavalry on the enemy flank, which I will exploit when the moment comes. They have to know we're there, I would think. We are kind of on the edge of this wood line in this hill, so it's a pretty good position for our cavalry, for any troops to be in. Mostly the fighting is occurring on this creek line up here. Heavy casualties in the 9th New York State Militia. Even though the enemy's lost about 200 fewer or about 50% fewer casualties than we have, I guess depending who you're measuring from, it's a larger percentage of their force. I'm kind of surprised that New York State Militia unit is still hanging in there after losing a third of their men. They are falling back. Not sure where the other unit they hit hard went. I don't know if that... Oh, there's the 11th New York. Oh, they didn't hit them anywhere near as hard as I thought they did. Interesting. Alright, so they've at least pushed back. These icons are on top of each other. The 9th New York State lost about a third of their men. The 2nd Iowa lost about a quarter of their men. 2 regiments driven back. And I don't know what all these guys are doing. They got a lot of small regiments. But the enemy appears to know we're here. They're pushing some troops forward to help against that 1st Division, but they're also sort of redeploying on this flank while my boys come up. So we got the 1st Brigade forming on our... I guess if we turn this map around. We got the 1st Brigade deploying on our right flank. Or I guess actually... Of the infantry line, it's on our left. The 2nd Brigade's on our right, and the 3rd Brigade is sort of in reserve. Rebels are pushing some infantry. All right, boys, dismount. Get up on this hill. Pushing 2 regiments on our flank. These cavalry regiments here. Hey guys. Wait, who routed? My artillery routed? From what? Ah, boys. Alright, go engage these guys in this open field. I never got any orders for this battle, by the way, as a division commander. No, like, bring your unit here and fight. Alright, so we are engaging the 3rd South Carolina with our Smith carbines. We actually have twice the number of men they have. We also have a 7-round-a-minute weapon. And we're in better terrain, I think. So I have to imagine in the event that this is a prolonged fight, we will prosper. No, I don't want you to charge. I just want you to advance. Dismounted. Meanwhile, our other infantry is getting into position still. Alright, 1st Brigade come down on their flank. Like that. 2nd Brigade is still coming up. I'm gonna send the 18th New York up. I don't know who you're flanked by. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe that artillery there? I'll bring their regiments forward. Still seems silly that we had a engage the enemy. I am engaged. Well, all my units are already in the field, so I get a whole bunch of free prestige from basically my units already being in position to fight. Meanwhile, the Rebs still look like they're holding out okay against Stone's division. It would seem. 1st Division's lost about 700 casualties. They've got about 5,700 men left. The enemy's lost only about 600 total to over 800 federal losses. And so our cavalry is coming down here to support our flank as our infantry regiments swing like a door against the enemy flank. They're trying to put these infantry regiments into our flank, forcing us to maybe perhaps impede our advance. I'm going to order my cavalry forward here so that they can shield that flank. And frankly, let's just go after them. We can flank them by just turning our infantry. We'll just sort of advance these guys one at a time. Up into these woods. The Rebs are positioned far enough back, I think. Nice, artillery can fire into their rear of their other positions over here. It's going to push forward through those lines. These 2 regiments down here are not in a good position, I don't think. Yeah, we're inflicting heavy losses on these boys. Alright, boys, mount up. Prepare to charge. Alright, boys, go get them. We'll send the cavalry up and over. Charge! You'd think in melee we'd inflict a few more casualties than that. Meanwhile, the rest of our line is getting into action, advancing into the wood line against enemy units in cover. 3rd Brigade's coming up, should come up and pass through the lines. We are taking fairly heavy casualties as we do this. At least some of the units are. Alright, these guys can go engage and flank the other enemy. Meanwhile, the cavalry can continue to chase down this enemy regiment. We'll see what's left of the enemy. They had, what, 250 originally? They're quickly evaporating. Maybe we can actually wipe out an enemy unit. That's pretty rare in my experience in this game. But it would be great. Are you guys tired? Go charge that battery. We're sending 3 regiments to charge an enemy battery of artillery. One of our units is green and has never fought before. It's usually not a good strategy, but... I don't know that they're all charging the same. Again, we outnumber a lot of these enemy regiments by like 2 to 1, so leaning on our numerical advantage and getting in on the melee, not always a bad idea. Also, I do think we did destroy that other enemy regiment. They appear to be gone. Move our cavalry in behind. There is some enemy artillery over here we may have to deal with. Head in toward the objective. So Stone's division is fighting a pretty near-run thing against the rebels out to its front. And Stone's division itself seems to be getting pretty badly shot up. Fortunately, I think we've turned the tide with our division engaging the Rebs. Alright, we routed that enemy artillery battery. And now we're in like point-blank range on the enemy flank. So we're just trying to push on through them. 15 casualties. We must have wiped out that rebel battery completely. Alright, boys, we're just gonna overwhelm you. Keep pushing forward, boys. Keep pushing forward. Got a whole brigade that hasn't even engaged. This is why the Rebs deploying the way they did with like half their units against Stone. They were able to sort of maintain their position there, but they are not in good shape. Oh, we just lost one of our 19th Connecticut. It was their first battle. They only lost 30 men, and they broke. Cowards. Alright, we drove back to 26 miss. Oh, well that was, we get another -10 for routing, but that wasn't actually a full unit. That was just some troops that we ordered to take possession of some guns. I'm just sounding the charge all along the front, basically, at this point. Victory counter looks like it's in relatively good shape. We'll probably end up with a major victory, I would assume. We are routing other enemy units too, so it's worth keeping in mind. Meanwhile, our cavalry's right on the enemy flank, so we're going to go ahead and order them to charge into these retreating enemy troops. Do have this battery of artillery, but they're pulling back too, so send in the cavalry. It's not quite a total war battle of annihilation like in that game where you could just like run down entire enemy forces, but we're grinding these guys into dust. You can see each time you see that plus 25, it means an enemy unit has routed. The negative 10 is when your own unit routes. But a lot of these enemy regiments on this flank here are getting absolutely eviscerated. This cavalry here is pretty tired from all that charging. Someone got wounded. 8th New York Infantry. Is he in our command or no? Yeah, I guess he is. So we lost a regimental commander wounded. Another one of our units routed. Some of our regiments are not behaving well. Overall, I think we're doing pretty well. We've suffered 4 regiments routed. We've routed 3 enemy regiments, and we've inflicted considerable casualties on the enemy. Have we not gotten the major victory yet? What do we have to get? 23%? Or we have to get 28%? That probably won't happen. Alright, move up to the enemy rear. Again, Stone's division not faring so well. We've routed our counterpart. If we could wipe out this 29th Georgia, that would go a long way. This cavalry unit here, the 14th Pennsylvania, is inflicting pretty heavy losses on the enemy here. 34. This unit's going to go to 0. We're very close to 0. Are they charging me? I can't tell. Or are they retreating into me? I think they're retreating into me. So now our cavalry charged an enemy cavalry unit who wanted to get out. It's a bit of a disorganized fight now that we had that initial battle where we absolutely crushed the rebel flank. Trying to get units into position here to actually take the objective. But we've got at least a couple of regiments which have been able to push forward into the enemy rear of this other division, which has held Stone's line. My cavalry is exhausted, so they very well could break, but they're really not taking many casualties as they now charge into this Georgia regiment, which is retreating into them again. I'm surprised no one's thrown their hands up and asked for quarter or anything, you know? You could get regiments to surrender in the past, but This seems to be more of a battle of annihilation than anything. Go charge, go attack the 2nd Texas here. 1st Vermont's in their first battle. They're tired. They've done a good job, but the 14th Pennsylvania's sort of been the star of the show, at least on the cavalry side. Enemy casualties are ticking up over 26%. It's possible we end up with a major victory here, as we have 2 regiments crash into the 65th Virginia. Bringing more regiments up to the rear of the enemy formation here. These guys are taking their dear sweet time getting to the objective. Alright, our cavalry's never... 1st Vermont's never going to get there in time. The enemy's just retreating too quickly, but they're completely shattered on that front. You guys are exhausted. You're not going to chase the remnants of that regiment. I really would like my units to get better weapons, though. They're still firing off smoothbores. That's a little frustrating. But we've got 2 regiments engaging here. Charles Smith's regiment. And now this is a little bit of less of a favorable situation from a... How many muskets are engaged? Why are you... Here, guys, just do this. Just halt. Just halt and engage. You're in range. Where is yours truly? Where am I? Alright, get up there. Still haven't taken that objective. Alright, get that flanking trait gone. Advance. Alright, 31st New York is a little bit out on their own here against kind of superior enemy numbers. Meanwhile, we've inflicted almost 28% casualties on the enemy force. Up here, we're stuck on the river. Not exactly what I wanted you to do. 23rd Mass, what are you doing? Alright, I guess we're charging forward into melee. We outnumber these troops mostly by like 2 to 1. We haven't probably weakened them enough with gunfire though, so it's a bit of a risky proposition. Still, I think these enemy regiments are small enough that hitting them at close range with 2 to 1 in numbers is going to turn favorable for us, and apparently it did. Wow. Alright, we broke those enemy regiments and now the enemy is retreating, so we have switched this over to a major victory. Those casualties we inflicted there at the end, pretty decisive. Okay, 23rd Mass. Should hold the line there. 2nd South Carolina is sort of retreating past their guns. 21st New York needs a break. Morale is not in great shape. Did we ever take that objective? Oh, we routed 2 more enemy regiments. Nice. We actually haven't taken the objective yet. We're only now just getting enough troops and leaders into position to do that. So the pursuit phase may end before we can do that. But, oh well. We have scored 5 enemy regiments routed. We've lost 4 of our own routed. We have inflicted 869 points worth of casualties on them, 140 for reaching our morale objective, so that's 1,000 plus another route there. So we've gained about 1,100 prestige in this battle. Not our most inspiring fight morale wise, but in a battlefield sense, this might be our most decisive. And it's our first, I think, in like true command of a division. I don't know why I've got these 2 regiments stacked up back to back. Got the enemy surrounded. Stonebrook is falling to us. We should get some morale. We get 30 objective. We get 30 prestige for taking an objective. It seems like when you do any kind of time compression, units move dramatically faster than they otherwise would. Like, not in proportion. So time compression in this game feels a little wonky. Come on, cavalry, charge into their flank. Also, where did that other cavalry regiment go? Go charge into them. Like, they just retreated through... Well, those are headquarters, I guess. They could just be individual riders. There is a... I thought there was a regiment there, but... Maybe it's just the routing mechanic. Units seem to retreat more quickly when they route. Which I guess kind of makes sense when you consider that they're not all, you know, individual. They're all individuals and they're not trying to maintain any kind of formation, but it looks a little weird sometimes. All right, meanwhile, 14th Pennsylvania continues to do their thing in riding down enemy units. I'm curious what their casualty count is going to be at the end of this day. They seem to have had a very good day. First Vermont did well early. They got tired and they're in their first battle, so it's not shocking to me that they didn't quite have the same impact on the fight. But they're charging into the flank of this 9th Tennessee here on the creek line. So they're doing a little bit of work now. This is the most effective use I've seen in any of my battles ever. Not like, oh my goodness, I did such a great job, but I don't really, at least in the past, and maybe this changed with later patches, but I don't really remember cavalry riding down the enemy being like a major factor. Cavalry is very vulnerable, as they should be in this game. This is the Civil War, not Napoleonics or anything like that. That being said, they've been very effective in this fight. And it probably helps, right? Like a cavalry regiment charging an enemy that they outnumber 2-1 maybe is going to have more of an impact than most scenarios in the Civil War, where there weren't a lot of great opportunities in the Civil War for cavalry to charge into retreating troops and be super effective. Obviously, this battle is not the way most Civil War battles unfolded. Right, the enemy's lost almost 40% of their force. We've lost only about 12. It's about 2,100 to 3,200 casualties. All right, we'll turn around. You got another victim right behind you. Maybe you can drive them back into the 1st Pennsylvania, which I think is just so exhausted. They can't really keep up. But 1st Vermont doing their thing now. %, a solid 40% of the enemy force is now casualties. All right, and they're out. We are not going to catch up to them now at this point. This enemy force is in absolute shambles. Again, they have lost, out of 8,000 total troops, 3,200 men. That's 40% of their entire force, almost half of their deployed force. I don't know that there was another battle quite as decisive like that outside of a few garrison actions. I think it was like Richmond and the Perryville campaign perhaps is an exception, where I think like 1,200 men were totally annihilated. And then obviously the surrenders of Grant, but that's different when units are surrendering. But 3,200 to 2,100 in terms of casualties, 40% to 12% should be a major victory. Unfortunately, I am not the commanding officer, so Stone is going to get most of the credit for this victory, I assume. Given he outranked me, he's a major general, I'm a brigadier. His units lost about 1,000 men. My boys lost over 1,200, so we actually lost more men. Granted, we had over almost 11,000 men. We had over 11,000 men total deployed. So we actually had the larger force here. But your force is victorious. A major federal victory. 1,300 prestige gained by me. 450 of the enemy, 1,400 cavalry. That's almost a third of their force. All 15 of their guns. 2,600 of their 6,500 infantry. The Federal cavalry did lose somewhat heavily. We lost 443 out of 2,400. That was disproportionately heavy. In the artillery, we almost lost half our guns. I'm assuming most of those were AI guns. From a Stone's division, they got punched in the mouth. But yeah, I guess when you do a lot of melee, you lose a lot of men. So that's why my boys lost so heavily. I'm curious to see if we get any so-and-so has been disgraced or whatever. Enemy morale falls by almost 1%. From a single major victory, so that's a pretty considerable difference. Captain McReynolds has become famous and an inspiration of his men. Lieutenant Colonel Wallace has fallen into disgrace in the eyes of his men. And so that's a pretty good result. Now we'll have to see if we want to pursue north if Fredericksburg is a siege. If it turns into a siege and it looks like the troops there are going to hold out for a while, I may see if I can move my troops quickly north. My readiness may not be good enough, but we'll see. All right. So the Battle of Hanover Junction has ended with Pillow's division retreating in panic. My command has earned us a total victory with the enemy army running for their lives. The enemy has reportedly suffered 3,243 men casualties, 245 killed, 100 captured. Morale is believed to be unstable. Our casualties total 2,163 men with 361 killed, so we actually had more men killed, 427 missing and the rest wounded. Morale is confident with an alarming supply situation. We did capture 2,486 enemy rifles and 6 guns from the battlefield and 100 prisoners of war. So, our supply situation down here, not in great shape. I believe Polk's division previously retreated from this battle, so that's why we had such an advantage in manpower. Actually, it looks like Fredericksburg has already resolved itself. The federal troops there have withdrawn north, I think. I don't see any federal flags. All right. All right, so the enemy routed, pulled back. Our readiness is, it looks like it's deficient. We're all the way in the red. We burned through a considerable amount of our provisions and supplies. We're drawing provisions from this town, but there's not a clear supply line with the enemy gone to the north. Could probably retreat west if I need to. It's funny that we won a victory and we're talking about retreat. Fort Aquia garrison still appears to be in federal hands. I don't even know that the 4th Division fought. It doesn't look like they did. It looks like they just withdrew from Fredericksburg. My total prestige is up to 5,100, which is nice. Doesn't look like I gained much fame from that last battle. I think we're starting to tick toward our 3rd star. We actually have enough prestige now to influence our promotion. We could spend 1.4 of our 5.1 prestige to get promoted to the rank of Major General, which would then open up the ability to command corps. Are we doing any, or do we have any actions going right now? Actually, Major General, I think, would also open up the option to command armies, too. We're not working on anything on the actions tray. We already did the fundraising, and we did the gamble. Wow, we could spend $1,000 to increase our fame and fortune. Get a full star of our fame. Which would probably lower the cost to get promoted too, but I don't need recruitment campaigns. Maybe buy supplies. Purchase enough supplies for 5 full units to distribute among the troops. That would cost $1,000, but it would get our supply situation remedied pretty quick. We could use some prestige to reconcile with folks who don't like us. I don't need to lose weight, I don't think. We're still in the 140s, right? Now we're up to 150. Our health isn't great. Might want to spend a bit more money on food. Improve our provisions. Still doesn't help. Fine dining? Yeah, we'll get our health up a bit that way. Political rally will increase my prestige, but I don't know that that matters at this moment. I got enough prestige if I want. Problem is money. It's always money, right? Ooh, I can do more fundraising. Spend 200 prestige to get $500 more. Okay, I should get that in 12 days. That's easy once you get enough to just keep doing it. Give me more money. Gladly spend 200 prestige on that. But yeah, I think we'll have to figure out what we're going to do next time. We fought a nice, tidy little battle. We absolutely wrecked Pillow's division. And we'll have to figure out what to do now. I'm not sure. We'll see. I want to try and stay concentrated with stone if we can, but the supply situation is a problem. So we'll have to see how things unfold. As I said previously, the war is generally going well. We have over 250,000 men just in this eastern theater versus less than 140,000 rebels. Casualties so far, 98,000 rebs to 74,000 federals. The rebs have actually won more battles. That's new. That's recent. That was when they sort of kicked us out of the valley last fall, although it looks like we've returned to the valley and kicked them back out. So it's kind of going back and forth. I feel like we control West Virginia. I don't see any rebs here, so I don't know why we don't have that victory moniker, but anyway. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Please leave your thoughts down below, as always. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.